Hello, sunshines. Welcome to Bunnyfish Crafts. I'm your host, Heather, known as Bunnyfish on all the internet places. I feel really awkward just sitting here, so I'm going to pull out a project to work on a little bit. So, hello, how are you? Today is Saturday, the 26th of July, 2025. It is about 8:30 in the morning. My energy might be off a little bit because I was up yesterday from 6 a.m. to 6 a.m. No reason, just never felt tired. And even at about 5 a.m. I didn't feel tired, but I was like, oh, I think maybe I could sleep now. And it still took me like an hour to fall asleep. And then I woke up at 8. So I don't know. Apparently I only needed 2 hours of sleep. It is overcast here. Little weather report for you. So I have the artificial lights on in my room, which is why you're getting that twin shadow behind me. So hopefully the colors and stuff are okay. And look at this. I came prepared because I knew I needed water. I already drank some, but I already sound froggy again. If my energy is off, that's why. It's because I didn't sleep. But I feel okay. I feel like I had a full night's sleep. I feel actually very energized, more than I have the past couple days. Sorry, that was a brief roommate interlude. What were we talking about? Oh, I have 2 finished projects this week. So let's go back to, what was it? Monday, I think? Sunday even? Let's go back. All right, sunshines. It's Sunday night. It's like my bedtime, basically. I did, over the past 6 hours, finish 2 of the socks that I wanted to finish. So just a quick review of them, because I'm not going to talk about them on the podcast anymore. I will put daytime blocked photos of both of these at the end of the video. So if you want to see what the finished projects look like, feel free, because I am going to block this sock of the pair, and I'm going to block these 2 because I had to reknit this toe and the bottom. So that'll be at the end of this video. But this is where I was in last week's video. This sock is obviously shorties, knit on, both pairs of these are on US size 0, 2.25 millimeter needles. This yarn is Knit Picks Felici in the Swak colorway. This is Unknown Pink Speckle yarn. And these socks are not shorties, but they are a short leg. Like, that's not very long. The main color is Ribbon Candy, and the contrast heel and toes is in Knit Picks Stroll Ash. So yay that. And then I did not finish this sock. I haven't even started the toe decreases. I just put it on the needle to work 2 at a time. Sorry, I couldn't think of what that was called. This is where I was last week, so I'm going to go ahead and put the stitch marker in up here so we know that that's where it was. And I am actually pretty excited. I picked up the wrong sock. The other sock, I'm still in this stripe. So like, theoretically, to keep them in line, I would have wanted to finish this stripe on the other one before starting this stripe on this one. But whatever. Really exciting, because I counted the number of stripes and I referenced my knitting journal. And on this round right here that I just did, I decreased out 1/4 of the stitches, which means the knitting on here is going to go much, much faster from here on out, because I'm still decreasing almost every stripe. but I just took out a quarter of the stitches in one fell swoop. So that's really exciting. And I can't wait to show you my progress on both of these socks. So I inadvertently misspoke. I only have pictures of the Sealed with a Kiss socks. I didn't quite get around to it on the ribbon candy socks this week, but as you can see, they're both finished. They were damp on the day that it was like good lighting, and then I set them aside and just never got back to it because in my brain the take a photo of the socks box had been checked off. How do we want to say it? I don't want it to sound like it's angry. So yeah, I just need to photo them, and then I'm going to give them directly to my youngest kiddo because they're for her, and I don't need to set them aside for any reason. I just need a photo of them. And then I have some half-finished objects. Here is the sock for my sister's boyfriend. I don't know if you can see how big this sock is. Putting it on the blocker doesn't really show how big it is. What if I put it on the other way? Oh yeah. There's just, it barely doesn't fit that way. So anyway, I have the first one done. I finished it last night because I was like, I'm getting this sock off of the needles. I'm not feeling super stressed about, at the end of last week's video, I showed you the yarns that I want to use up by the end of the year. And I think that I said that I had 26 single socks to make. Or was it 24? I think it was 26. But that number didn't include anything that I had on my needles already. So it wasn't an anxiety thing. It was just hey, we should get on this sort of thing. So I finished it up last night. And did I have the second one started last week? I don't think I did, but maybe I did. But now it's through the heel. So I just need to pick up these gusset stitches so that I can get it started. Because it's good work knitting. It's, especially once I'm past the gusset stitches, it's just a stockinette sock. It's kind of boring, but the first one's done. We're halfway there. So yeah, gusset stitches happening today. And my other half-finished object is, well, let's do this since I have this locker here conveniently. Is this sock for my sister is finished, which feels really good since this was sitting in my cabinet for months not being finished. So I had done the heel last week, and I did that. What am I trying to say? Oh, I did the heel by pulling yarn from the outside of the skein, doing a little bit of yarn management. This is 2 stripes worth of this color, but I'm going to have plenty of yarn because my sister, this is a 100 gram ball of yarn, and my sister's socks definitely don't take that much yarn. I always have huge chunks of leftovers from her, so I am ready to cast on the second one. That's why I have this crochet hook in here. I really prefer the crochet cast on. It's basically where you just chain around your knitting needle. I really like it. I think that it gives a really nice but stretchy edge, as long as you use an appropriate hook size. I like to cast my socks on with a size F hook, which is 3.75 millimeters, and I knit my socks on, except for the Croy socks and my oldest kiddo socks, I knit my socks on a US size 0 2.0 millimeter needles, so that's 1.75 millimeter difference in the size that I'm chaining versus what I'll be knitting. I just find that works really, really well for my socks. Yeah, and it's less fiddly for me than other methods of stretchy casts on. Other methods of stretchy cast-ons. That way. That way, wait, makes more sense. So, let's, hold on. Did I say that this sock for my sister's boyfriend is being knit out of Patton's Croy socks in the Gentry Gray color? Because it is. And then this sock is knit out of Fiber Nymph Dye Works. It's a pie colorway. It's called the darker side of pie, and all of the stripes are named after poisonous berries. I will put a picture of the tag in here so you can see which each stripe is. I am, so I just finished the orange stripe, and I'm not sure yet if I want to pick up with the dark purple, or if I want to take the dark purple out and start the second sock with the light purple for but then it's not like following the pie stripe exactly. But then I could reserve that dark purple for the heel, and I think it would just be kind of fun for them both to start with this light purple. And is anybody going to know that I cut out a digit in pie? No. Okay, so I'm going to cut out the next stripe, which is the darkest purple, which I use for the heel. Yes, I'm going to do that. I mean, the stripes aren't going to match up on the leg because they're based on the digits of pie. And you can see in this first sock that these stripes, these digits have much more rounds than these ones up here. But I don't know. I think, okay, yeah, that's what I'm going to do. And I'll just reserve this dark purple, and I will tuck it inside the protective layer of this sock cozy. This yarn cozy, I think. Is that what we're calling it? My friend Haley sent me this. So I don't know if it's a brand or if, I think maybe she said a friend made it. I don't remember. Maybe she made it. I don't know. It was a long time ago. I really, really like these for center pole cakes. It just keeps the outside really nice. It makes sure the yarn doesn't get messed up as I throw it in my pocket or in a yarn bag or in a project bag. Okay, so the next thing on top is I'm going to start a really long-term project. I'm going to start another blanket. I know. I already have so many, but okay. If you were here last year, you might remember this Totoro Starry Night blanket pattern on Etsy. And it's a pattern for a corner to corner blanket. And I was making it for my work bestie who, like, we're still work friends, but we're not like this anymore. Just because, things happened. Not like between us, just like separately in lives. So like that's fine, but also I would feel weird making a blanket for them. Like this kind of blanket for them. This is so much work and so much effort. So I'm going to repurpose that yarn for something else. Ooh, hot gossip. The dean for middle school at my job resigned. So I don't know if we're doing middle school auctions anymore. I have to see if that's still in place. So I don't know if I'm going to be making blankets for auction anymore. I'm still definitely going to be making blankets because it's a good way to use up my acrylic stash, a lot of which has been just given to me by people. Like I used to teach at Joann, and like they just gave me a bunch of yarn, like literally garbage bags full. And then one of my coworkers, like a year and a half ago, gave me a garbage bag full of just acrylic yarn. So I'm still going to be doing that. I just don't know if it's going to go to the kiddos at school or if I'm going to be finding somewhere else in my community to gift it. I have a lot of options. There's a women's shelter in my community that I actually stayed at when I was younger. When my parents were getting divorced, it was very messy, and we stayed in a women's shelter for a month. So could do that. There are senior centers around, so maybe there. My best friend is actually about to start working at a women's shelter, so like I could see if there's a need or a want there for some handmade blankets, because let me just tell you about how living in a women's shelter, like a lot of us didn't have any things, and it would have been nice to have something that was home. Like my siblings and I definitely had to use the community toiletries. So it's like donated dollar store toiletries and stuff, and I don't know, we just didn't have home, and it was not very fun. I was 6. I was the oldest. So anyway, so yeah, options. I mean, if it's middle school auction, I'm definitely giving the blankets to middle school auction. I'm just saying there's other options if that's not a thing anymore, because I don't know. So that's what the yarn that I originally bought for this blanket is going to do. Because I don't want that blanket. I'm too snobby for that now. That sounds horrible to say, but like for me, I prefer the feel of an acrylic. I prefer the feel of a wool blanket over an acrylic blanket. Nothing wrong with acrylic. It has its place. It's great, especially when you want to give something that's going to be easy to wash. But I don't mind hand washing my blankets or machine washing them on cold. Actually, I don't machine wash them. I put them in the machine on a rinse and spin only cycle, which is just cold water. So that way they're getting like minimal agitation. But anyway, so I want to start this blanket for me though, because I love Totoro. And I also love Starry Night. So when I was in 3rd grade or 4th grade, I don't remember, I had an art teacher who, we had something really cool where we got to pick our electives, which is, strange for elementary students. So like we would have our normal electives, but then we would have a second elective every day. We actually got to pick them. And one of the art classes was all about recreating art. So we used oil pastels to recreate any like famous artwork we wanted out of her references, and I picked Starry Night, and it was like one of my favorite art class assignments that I've ever done. Also in that class, we did cell painting, which was really cool. I did a painting of Gossamer from Looney Tunes, and It was amazing. I loved that class. So anyway, I want to make a blanket, but I want to do squares. That sounds so crazy. I want to do squares instead of corner to corner, because turns out I don't really like doing corner to corner pictures like this. It's too much yarn management. I don't like it. I would rather do squares, do some sort of join as you go method, have it be super pixelated. So I have this yellow left over, the lemon drop yellow that I used for my pencil socks. And I started out with an F hook, and I'm just going to do 2 round granny squares, but the solid grannies, not like a granny. So I started with a size F hook, but this is too big. This is 1.75 inches across. And if I made the blanket in that size, it would be about 6.5 feet by almost 8 feet, or just over 8 feet. I don't remember. I was doing math yesterday. Which is too big for me for a personal blanket. Like it's too tall. Like the problem would be that it would be too tall. I wouldn't be able to use it comfortably. So then I tried it on a size D hook, and I don't know if you can even tell the difference in these 2 squares. I'll put in a picture. And it's slightly smaller. It's only 1.675 inches, which gives me a blanket that's more like 6 foot by 7 foot, I think. Something like that. Still a little big. So I'm going to rip out both of these squares, and I am going to try a smaller hook. So this is a size D hook, which is a 3.25 millimeter hook. So it's already small. I do think I have a C hook and maybe a B hook. This is going to be a very long-term project, because no way am I going to find this process of making these little teeny squares enjoyable with these small hooks. Like the process is not what this blanket is about. But the end product is so cute, and I really, really want it. And again, like, I don't need this done for 10 years or whatever. My thought is that I'm going to use Knit Picks white, black, and ash for sure for the image. But I think, so theirs is light yellow and darker yellow, but I think I'm going to use yellow and orange. And for the yellow and orange, I'm just going to use my scrappy bits from my stash, because I don't like yellow and orange, and I don't really want to use it in my scrappy blankets. So this, I think, would be really cute. And them being different colors, different yarns, all fingering weight, superwash. I just think it'll add to like the pixelation, and I think it'll be so cute. So that's my plan. I'll check in next week to see how it goes making those squares even smaller and which hook size I decide to go with, because maybe a D hook and having a 6 foot by 7 foot blanket is fine. Okay, so next sock that I'm working on, and this is on a 2.0 millimeter needle. This is going to be a scrappy sock for my sister, and I don't know, like a month ago-ish, I talked about wanting to use up all of this dogwood heather and just having it be done. And then I had probably like 45 grams left. And I was like, I can't just put all of this yarn into my sister's I'm looking at it right now. What is it called? What's it called? I'm not using a pattern, but if you were going to use a pattern, you would look at the Jelly Roll blanket. Thank you. Thank you for helping me out. Yeah, I didn't want to put 45 grams in there. I still haven't put it in her cowl yet, so that'll eat up a little bit of yarn. But even putting it in the cowl, I was like, that's still not going to be enough used up. So I had these yarns set aside for her to make scrappy socks. And I was going to make her shorties because it was only 10 5-gram minis and 1 20-gram mini. But then I was like, or I could do scrappy socks where the leg, so it starts with that 20-gram mini, and then there's 6 colors on the leg, and then heel flap, heel turn, and gusset all in this pink yarn. And then I'm going to work the foot until I only have 30 rounds to go. Is that right? Hold on. Now I'm second guessing. How many? No, until I have 40 rounds to go. And then I'm going to use these as stripes in the sock on the foot and finish it off with the 20-gram mini for the toe. And then on the second sock, still start with the 20-gram mini, but then randomly pick, because I've been randomly pulling. I haven't been doing color management for these stripes. So I'm going to randomly pull, so the other sock will be matching. Well, it'll be a fraternal twin. So yeah, it'll be all the same colors, but in different orders. I don't know. I'm loving that vibe this year for scrappy socks. So the minis, all of them, the 20 grams and the 5 gram, are all from Haverland. They were various Frankensock kits that I was gifted by my friend Haley, and that I then pulverized and separated into color orders. Ooh, hold on. I have a thought. I have something to show you. And then this is Knit Pick Stroll Dogwood Heather that I ordered way too much when I was making thigh highs and arm warmers for my kiddo, because I didn't know how much I was going to need to make their thigh highs and arm warmers. So I overbought so that I would be safe, but I overbought by like 150 grams or something. Okay, so while we're talking about scrappy socks, last week I showed you that I was intending to make 3 scrappy socks for my oldest kiddo using Haverland minis. But last night I was like, I do the laundry in my house because we air dry everything. I have a dryer, but it doesn't work. But I also don't like using it anyway. And we were air drying like probably 50% of our clothes when the dryer worked. So now we just air dry 100% of our clothes. And I had noticed that my oldest kiddo wasn't really putting a lot of the regular length socks through the laundry. So yesterday I was like, would you prefer 3 like regular length scrappy socks, or should I try to make a pair of scrappy coordinating but mismatched thigh highs? So I had my oldest kiddo put the minis in an order that they liked for each thigh high, and it's very chaotic. This is not how I would have chosen to do them, but that's fine because they're not mine, right? So yeah, I'm going to be making my kiddo another pair of thigh highs this year just because that's what my kiddo wears. So why wouldn't I? Like, yeah, it's a lot of work, and it's not my favorite thing to make, but they're going to wear them more than if I make regular socks. And when they inevitably destroy the feet out of the thigh highs, I can always pull back that yarn and knit a regular pair, like a regular length of socks, if that's what they want to wear, or I can just replace the foot or whatever. I don't know. It's just, yeah, that's what's happening. So you'll see this at some point this year because I'm really setting myself up to make another pair of thigh highs this year. Whatever. Don't judge me, please. So speaking of the thigh highs, I did not do 2 stripes this week. I did like 1.5 stripes this week. So here is one sock. Here is the other sock. But I believe I told you last week that I just decreased out 1/4 of the stitches on this stripe. So I'm not quite there on the other sock. Here's where we are. So on this sock, I'm right here, like halfway through this black stripe. So once I get into the orange stripe, it's going to be 1/4 less stitches on this also. And then how many stripes do I have after that? Okay, so this is stripe 9 right here, and there are 18 stripes on the leg of the sock. So I'm finished the halfway point on the first leg of the first thigh high. Yeah, of the leg of the first thigh high. That's exciting because there is a tiny bit more decreasing here. Yeah, there's a couple more stripes where there's like 2 stitches decreased out. That's not that bad. That's exciting. So when I get down to stripe 15, I'm gonna put it on US size 0 circulars. That's not that many. That's only 6 stripes to go until this is going on US size 0 and being worked in the round. Oh my gosh, that's so exciting. Thank you for letting me look that up with you. Yay. I just got to keep up momentum. Also, I'm already thinking ahead because I'm still in summer school, but I'm already thinking ahead of like, what do I want to take as a work project? And I'm thinking that, like as a lunch project, not a work project, I'm thinking it's going to be these thigh highs and then the other thigh highs, as lunch knitting, but I also want to take this. So I've barely put on any work on this wrap. I'm not actually going to show it to you, but I think this would be good work knitting, good lunch knitting. Like just, I'd like to do 2 rows a day at lunch. I don't know if that's really feasible. We have to see how long my lunch is, when my lunch is, what classes I have before and after, like how many spoons am I going to have at lunchtime? I don't know, but just a thought. I'm not going to show you my sister's cowl. I put in a little work on it this week, whatever. I'll show you when it's more impressive. But I did work on this sock. So that wasn't a great color choice for the stitch marker. So I was here where this yellow stitch marker is last week. So I haven't done very much, but like an 1.5 inches, 2 inches, probably like 2 inches. This red marker is just telling me that I've done 50 rounds because Past Me very graciously left me a note in my knitting journal like actually did an entry on, I think, the first Christmas sock that I made with like how many rounds I did on the leg of the sock, which is super, super thoughtful of past me, because I was like, oh man, I don't remember how long I need to make the leg of the sock. And I was like, maybe I wrote it down. I don't know. And I did. So that's exciting. So this sock is being knit with the Cozy Knitter 2023 Advent 24 stripe. So very exciting. I love that this is like a Fadient yarn. It's gorgeous. It's gorgeous. So I'd actually like to have the sock finished by next week. So this is kind of going to be priority. Oh, I didn't tell you what yarn I was using for this. It's Cattails yarn and Gleeman's Cloak. The base is Russian Blue, which is 70% superwash merino, 20% nylon, and 10% stellina. That's the orange color. The black is Knit Picks Black, Knit Picks Stroll. And these ones are being knit on US size 1 2.25 millimeter needles until I get down to the calf. And then I know that I already talked about a scrappy blanket on this vlog, but I'm going to talk about 2 more. Hopefully that's fine. It's my vlog, so I'm in charge. I worked some on my bias strip blanket. So this week I've put in most of Ribbon Candy. I have the purple round to finish and then the speckly gray. So that's exciting. And I just love my bias strip blanket. I forget that I love it because it's probably the blanket that I work on the least. But I'm trying to be better about working on it because I would like it done eventually. And then on another strip, so this is a self-striping strip. I don't mix my self-stripings with my non-self-stripings in this blanket. I don't know, that's just a rule I made. And then I am working in the yarn for my pencil socks. So I'm almost done putting those in. It makes me happy that there's going to be a little pencil section in this blanket. I think it's so cute. And I'm knitting this blanket on US 1 2.25 millimeter needles. It's 36 stitches across the bias. If you wanted to make a blanket that's kind of similar to this, but not the same as the one I'm making because I'm not using a pattern, the person who made the Nor'easterly pattern has a very similar pattern, which I'll put the name of on the screen. So you could look into that. It's fun. It's pretty. Every single one of my scrappy blankets is so pretty. And every time I work on them, I'm like, oh my gosh, you're so pretty. And then since we're talking about blankets, I finished reading a book this week. I finished listening to Harriet Tubman live in concert. I really liked it. The songs at the end, performed by Bob the Drag Queen and others, were really, really good. I liked them a lot. Yeah, just enjoyable. Very enjoyable. It definitely had some big discussions in it for such a short book. It was only, what did I say, like a little over 4 hours of listening. And I had a lot of time in the car this week because my kids went to Cedar Point with their grandma. And so that's in Ohio. And we are near-ish Detroit. So it was 3 hours in the car one day and 3.5 hours in the car the other day because traffic through Detroit, like, but it's fine. So yeah, I had a lot of time to listen to an audiobook, and I also listened to, have you heard the musical Epic? It's like based on the Odyssey, and it was like mostly made and promoted through TikTok, is my understanding. I'm going to link it below because I love it so much. I was listening to it every single day, sometimes multiple times a day. It's not short. It's like 2 hours, back at the end of the school year. I haven't done that in a few weeks, like listen to it the whole way through. But I did listen to it while I was driving because I finished my audiobook and I didn't really want to listen to, I wanted a story. I didn't want just music. I wanted a story. So I really, really liked that. And then a spinning update. I feel like I have spun so much during Tour de Fleece. And like, obviously I have, because my minimum per day is 15 minutes. I only missed 2 days since the start of Tour de Fleece, which was July 5th. Tour de Fleece is almost over. I think including today, there's 5 days. So 5 more days of work. I do still want to keep working on this, hopefully on weekends. But I've gotten so much done. I don't know if you remember how long this part of the braid that was sticking out of the bag was last week, but it was so much longer. So imagine that. You actually work on something and you make progress. So it would be cool if like this much of the braid was used up in the next 5 days. I don't know if that's realistic. I don't actually know like how much of a braid I use up each day. If I'm feeling like really, really like blah about the day, I set my timer to only 15 minutes. But if I'm feeling like, okay, I usually set it to 18 minutes. So just a little bit extra spinning. And what is this fiber? It's from Deviant Fibers. It's 60% superwash merino, 30% bamboo, 10% nylon. Colorway are endless numbered days. It's beautiful. It is a little bit slick to spin, but not in a bad way. I'm really, really liking it. And it's so nice to spin just a little pocket every day, because it takes different attention than knitting. It takes different intention than knitting. So I'm really enjoying that. Okay, so that's everything on the shelf. So I guess I'll show you what I've been working on while we were talking, although I don't actually, so it's in the round. I don't actually have to finish what I was doing, but I feel like my brain would be happier if I got back toward the beginning of round on this sweater. Do I care about being at the beginning of round when I'm knitting socks and show you? No, but I don't know, for some reason my brain is like, we should get to the beginning of the round or near the beginning of the round, because I'm not going to stop where the stitch marker is. Okay, that's far enough. So I am working on my daughter's sweater. Can you see that my sweater is big enough for me? That's perfect, because she wanted lots of positive ease, and she is much skinnier than I am. She's very petite, but not petite. Like petite around, but very tall. She's a little bit taller than me. So yeah, I'm hoping the body is a good fit for her. I went off of her measurements of what she wanted. I'm going to have her try it on now, I think. Maybe today, maybe just sometime this week. Definitely before I bind off the sleeve. So the sleeve, let's see if I can kind of measure. So kind of. the sleeve needs to go 2 inches past the body to be at the right length. Or like this measurement is 2 inches longer than from the top of the back down. So I'm getting there. It's fine. It's going fine. This is the flax sweater, right? It's the flax. Yeah, it's the flax sweater by Tin Can Knits. I am using Bernat Yarnspirations Super Value yarn for it in the colorway Baby Pink, because she wanted a soft pink. I would really like this done by the end of the month, which is still pretty far away. I don't remember. Is Thursday the last day of the month? That's so many days in which to finish this sweater. Like, I just actually have to work on it, which I barely did this week. But yeah, it's like, it's not difficult. It's not going to take that long. She wants poofy sleeves. So I'm not just knitting straight the whole time because I didn't want to do that. So I am decreasing 2 stitches on the sleeves every 20th round. So very, very gradual decreasing of the sleeves. I think her wrist is like a whole inch smaller than mine. So like, yeah, she's just, so this will be plenty big. Do you guys want to see the sweater? I'll try it on. I mean, I'm not going to like stand up and stuff, but I will try it on so you can kind of see what it looks like. I'm trying it on even though it's super hot. Okay. I would never wear this sweater, but I kind of like it with like the pink is like an okay pink with my green hair. Oops, just lost a couple stitches. It's fine. So yeah, on me, it's like there's positive ease. On her, it's going to be so much more. But look how cute that detail is down the sleeve. So hopefully it's long enough. Hopefully she likes it. And yeah, that doesn't look too bad. That's like kind of a cute sweater. Again, I would never wear it because I'm never going to wear this pink ever. But oh, that was cute. So that was a brief little nugget interlude, and she tried on her sweater. I do definitely need to reinforce the neckline. It's a little too like loose, so I will do that. I will crochet that. I will do that today. But she likes the fit of it. She likes the ease. She likes the length of it, which is good because I didn't really want to pull out the Italian bind off, but I would have for her. She says the arm is baggy enough. It's right around the same length as her, like it's right around her elbow, so that's good. Yay, that. Oh, and needle sizes, in case you're wondering. I just used the recommended needles in the pattern. I didn't swatch for this. It's US 6 4.0 millimeter for the ribbing and US 8 5.0 millimeter for the body. So yeah, I'd really like the sweater done by Thursday. I can do it. I can do it. What do I want done this week? What goals do I want to put on myself? I want this sweater done. I would like this first sock finished. And I think I want the second Fiber Nymph Dyeworks sock finished. I think that's totally doable. I don't feel like that's too much to do because I'm not driving for 6 hours this week. So yeah, I think that's doable. Is that everything? That is everything. Oh, I don't have any other reading updates because I'm still not sure where the Monsters We Defy are. I feel like it's got to be at school because I've checked everywhere else. And I just keep forgetting to check while I'm at school. So, and that's what I want to read. I want to read The Monsters We Defy. Everything else is fine. It's just not what I want to read right now. All right, friends. Thank you so much for coming to hang out with me. Oh my gosh, thank you so much to everybody who responded to my journaling video that I posted last week. I was like, oh, nobody's going to want to watch this. But I was like, you know what? Maybe someone would, because I would watch it if someone else posted it. And there have been a few comments and they've been really thoughtful and engaged. And I just love that. So thank you so much for commenting. And, as always, if you have any questions, please put them in the comments below. And what are you working on? Do you have goals to finish anything by the end of the month? I would love to hear about it. Let me know down below. Hit the like button if you liked the video. Subscribe. I'm so awkward saying all of that. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate your time. All right. I'll see you in about a week. Bye for now, friends.